Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in to our show today. It's a lovely day, isn't it? I hope wherever you are, you're enjoying it as much as we are here. This morning, as I was sipping my coffee, I found myself pondering over how often we find ourselves in the same old situations, making the same choices that lead us to, well, not so happy places. How about you? Have you ever wondered why we keep repeating these unhappy choices?
Haha, absolutely. That's something I've thought about quite a bit. Even as an expert in human behavior, I sometimes find myself scratching my head, wondering why I did that again. It's like our brains have a funny way of leading us down the same paths, even when we know they might not be the best for us.
Exactly. It's fascinating, isn't it? So, today we're diving into this intriguing topic of why we keep repeating unhappy choices. We'll explore the psychological, emotional, and even social aspects that influence our decision making. And I am thrilled to introduce our guest today, who is an expert in behavioral psychology. He has spent over 2 decades researching and writing about human behavior, and he's here to share his insights with us. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm really excited to be here and to discuss this topic with you and all the listeners. It's a subject that affects all of us at some point or another, and there's a lot to unpack.
Fantastic. So let's jump right in. To start, why do you think this topic is so important for us to discuss today?
Well, understanding why we repeat unhappy choices is crucial because it affects our overall well-being and happiness. Historically, this has been a topic of interest in both psychology and sociology. There are countless studies that delve into how our brains process decisions and why we might gravitate towards certain patterns. For instance, a study from the University of California found that about 80% of people have recurring patterns in their decision-making processes, which often lead to similar outcomes, both good and bad.
Wow, that's a significant number. 80% is practically all of us. So, what are some of the historical or recent trends you've noticed in this area?
That's right. Historically, the idea of repetitive behavior can be linked to theories of conditioning and habit formation. In more recent years, there's been a shift towards understanding the deeper, often subconscious drivers behind these actions. Researchers have been focusing on things like emotional conditioning, where our past experiences shape how we react to situations, often without us even realizing it.
That's fascinating. It's almost like we're on autopilot sometimes. Could you share some statistics or research results that highlight this trend?
Certainly. For example, there was a fascinating study conducted by the American Psychological Association, which found that over 90% of our daily decisions are made subconsciously. And among those, a significant portion tends to fall into familiar patterns, even if those patterns don't serve our best interests. It's like our brains take the path of least resistance, because it's easier than carving out new paths.
It makes so much sense when you put it that way. And how do these concepts connect to our real life experiences? What does this look like in everyday scenarios?
In real life, this might manifest as someone continuously choosing the same type of partner in relationships, even when past experiences have been less than ideal. Or it could be someone sticking to a job they dislike because it's familiar, rather than venturing out to try something new. These choices often lead to unhappiness because they aren't aligned with the individual's true desires or values, yet they feel stuck in these cycles.
Those are great examples. Now, I'm curious, have you had any personal experiences with this topic that you'd be willing to share?
Oh, absolutely. I think we all have at some point. Personally, I remember a time in my career where I was stuck in a loop of taking on projects that were not fulfilling. I kept saying yes because I felt obligated, even though deep down, I knew they weren't what I wanted to do. It took a lot of reflection and courage to break that cycle and start choosing projects that aligned with my passions.
That must have been a challenging but rewarding journey. Could you share a couple of success stories where people have managed to break free from these cycles?
Sure thing. One success story that comes to mind is about a woman I worked with who had a pattern of choosing controlling partners. Through therapy, she was able to recognize this pattern and understand the underlying reasons for her choices. With time and effort, she began setting healthier boundaries and eventually found a partner who respects her independence and supports her growth. Another case involved a young man who was stuck in a dead-end job. By identifying his core values and strengths, he was able to pivot to a career that was not only fulfilling, but also aligned with his goals.
Those are truly inspiring stories, but I'm sure not everyone succeeds right away. Are there any failure cases and the lessons we can learn from them?
Definitely. There's a case of a gentleman who struggled with breaking his cycle of poor financial decisions. Despite multiple attempts to change, he repeatedly fell back into old habits. The lesson here was that change is a gradual process and often requires external support, like financial counseling, which he eventually sought out. Another lesson is that patience and persistence are key. Sometimes it takes several attempts to successfully change a pattern.
Those lessons are incredibly valuable. And what about stories from others you've encountered in your field?
Oh, there are plenty. I remember a colleague sharing about a client who was perpetually unhappy in their work life. It turned out after much exploration that the root of the issue was not the job itself, but a deep-seated fear of failure. Once they addressed this fear, they were able to approach their career with a renewed perspective, leading to greater satisfaction and success.
It sounds like understanding the root cause is crucial. Now let's move on to some actionable steps. What specific tips or methodologies can people use to break free from these patterns?
Absolutely. Let's dive into that. Here are 5 steps that can help.
Those steps are so practical. Could you elaborate a bit on each one, perhaps starting with self-awareness?
Of course, self-awareness is about shining a light on your habits and understanding them. It's like holding up a mirror to your behaviors and asking yourself tough questions. When you keep a journal, for instance, you start to notice patterns you might not have been aware of before. It's the foundation of change.
And identifying triggers, how does that work?
Triggers are often the catalyst that set off our habitual responses. By identifying what these are, you can start to work on managing them. For instance, if stress leads you to make impulsive decisions, learning stress management techniques can be incredibly helpful.
I see. What about setting clear goals?
Setting clear goals is like creating a roadmap for change. When you know where you want to go, it's easier to make decisions that align with your desired destination. It's important these goals are specific, measurable, and realistic to keep you motivated and on track.
And seeking support?
Support is invaluable. Whether it's a friend who encourages you or a professional who provides expert advice, having someone in your corner can make a huge difference. They can offer a fresh perspective, help you stay accountable, and celebrate your successes with you.
Finally, patience seems essential, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Change doesn't happen overnight. It's important to be patient and gentle with yourself as you work through these steps. There will be setbacks, but each one is a learning opportunity.
Those insights are incredibly helpful. Now let's talk about some common misconceptions. What are some myths people have about making these changes?
Great question. One common misconception is that people believe change should be instant. The truth is, meaningful change often takes time and effort. It's like planting a seed. You have to nurture it and give it time to grow.
That's a powerful analogy. What about the second misconception?
Another common myth is the idea that willpower alone is enough. While willpower is important, relying solely on it can lead to burnout. The truth is, creating a supportive environment and having strategies in place are equally crucial.
Very insightful. And the third misconception?
Many people think that if they've failed once, they're doomed to fail again. But failure is just a stepping stone on the path to success. The truth is, each failure teaches us valuable lessons that can guide us to better outcomes in the future.
Those are really eye-opening. Is there scientific evidence or expert opinion that supports these truths?
Absolutely. Studies in behavioral psychology show that change is a process that involves multiple stages, including pre-contemplation, contemplation, preparation, action, and maintenance. Experts agree that understanding this process can make it easier to navigate through the challenges.
That's encouraging to hear. Now let's talk about actionable suggestions. What are some things our listeners can start doing today to break these cycles?
Definitely. One thing listeners can start today is to take a few minutes to reflect on a recent decision and consider what influenced it. This small step can begin to build self-awareness.
And what about short-term goals, say for the next week?
For the next week, I suggest setting a specific goal to address one small habit or pattern. It could be as simple as taking a different route to work or trying a new activity. The key is to step out of your comfort zone, even just a little.
That sounds manageable. How about midterm goals for the next month?
Over the next month, aim to work on understanding your triggers and developing a plan to manage them. You could also start seeking support, whether it's signing up for a class or joining a group that aligns with your goals.
And long-term goals, say for the next 3 months or more.
Long term, focus on solidifying new habits and routines that align with your goals. This might involve more significant changes like a career shift or developing new relationships. The idea is to create a life that reflects your true values and desires.
And how can people maintain these changes over time?
Maintenance is all about consistency and flexibility. Regularly review your goals and progress and be willing to adjust as needed. Remember, it's a journey, not a destination, and it's important to celebrate every step forward, no matter how small.
Wow, this has been such a rich and enlightening conversation. Let's summarize the key points for our listeners. First, we learned about the importance of self-awareness and understanding our decision-making patterns. Second, identifying triggers can help us manage and change our responses. Third, setting clear, realistic goals aligned with our values is essential. Fourth, seeking support can greatly enhance our chances of success. And finally, patience and persistence are vital as we navigate the process of change.
That's a great summary. Those are definitely the cornerstones of breaking free from unhappy choices.
Now, let's take a moment to answer some listener questions. Our first question is, how can I stay motivated when I feel stuck in a rut?
Great question. Staying motivated can be tough, especially when you're feeling stuck. One approach is to remind yourself why you started this journey in the first place. Reconnect with your goals and the positive changes you want to see in your life. It's also helpful to break down your goals into smaller, more manageable tasks and celebrate each small victory.
Our second question comes from a listener who asks, what if I don't have anyone to support me on this journey?
That's a valid concern. If you find yourself without immediate support, consider reaching out to online communities or forums where you can connect with others on similar journeys. Many people find valuable support and encouragement from virtual groups. Additionally, professional help, such as a therapist or coach, can provide guidance and support.
And our final question is, how do I know if I'm making the right choices for my happiness?
That's a deep and important question. A good indicator that you're making the right choices is when your actions align with your core values and bring you a sense of fulfillment and peace. It's also about tuning into your emotions and listening to what they're telling you. Sometimes it's helpful to reflect on whether your choices are leading you toward the life you envision for yourself.
Thank you so much for those insightful answers. I'm sure our listeners appreciate them as much as I do. As we wrap up, do you have any closing remarks or words of encouragement for our listeners?
I'd like to remind everyone that change is possible, no matter how entrenched a pattern may seem. It's important to be kind to yourself and to remember that every step, no matter how small, is a step in the right direction. Keep believing in yourself and your capacity to grow and change.
Beautifully said. Thank you so much for joining us today and for sharing your wisdom. And thank you to all our listeners for tuning in. We hope you found today's discussion valuable and inspiring. Until next time, keep reflecting, stay curious, and take those steps toward a happier you. Goodbye for now.